If you're a believer in Christ and you haven't been in a cave for the last couple weeks, you're probably asking yourself, how can we retake our society for our values and our systems? And this is one of the ways. Listen to Voddie Bauchum's words so many years ago about education.
Questions, because everyone's been discipled by the same teacher. And the first question everybody asks is, how can you educate your own children? Why? Why? Because the system wants you to be a slave. I'm a free man. My children are mine, not wards of the state. The government has no jurisdiction over my children.
My name is Casey. I'm the Rumble Right Dad, and I created this channel in order to promote a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom in America. And part of that comes along with not giving our children so many thousands and thousands of hours with the state so that the state can regulate what they learn and what their ideologies are. If you would, please like, share, and subscribe. On the way in, let's look briefly at why homeschooling was the choice my wife and I made for our family.
90% of Christians allow our government to educate their children. We are losing somewhere between 70 and 88% of our children by the end of their freshman year in college. That's the children of evangelicals. Somewhere between 70 and 88% of them have nothing to do with spiritual things by the end of their freshman year in college. Now, let me give you the easy answer before we go into a more detailed answer. The easy answer is this. If we continue to send our children to Caesar for their education, we need to stop being surprised when they come home as Romans.
I got a text from a family member today that said, we talk about you and Lauren all the time, how you're homeschooling, raising chickens, and trying to build a future for our children that is Christ-centered. And that brought me to some of Voddie Bauchum's words so many years ago, one of the biggest and best homeschool advocates that the Christ-centered household has ever seen.
There are three questions that we always get, okay? Number one, every homeschool family knows it is the question of questions. It is, if we have any homeschool families in here, I'm not even going to say it. What's the question? What about socialization? Exactly, we get that, And that's the easy one, all right? What about socialization? The other question is that legal? And the other question is, where do you get your curriculum? Who oversees your curriculum? Those are the three questions. Why does everyone ask the exact same three questions? Because everyone's been discipled by the same teacher.
He says very passionately that if we continue to give our children over to the state of Rome, we shouldn't be surprised when they return as Caesars. And this is ultimately the reason why we withdrew. I went to public school. My wife did not. We pay for a hybrid school where we homeschool half the time and they go to a Christ disciple-making school the rest of the time, in which my wife is a teacher. And while I am extremely proud of the hardened target and the wonderful Christ-centered education that they receive there, I am also extremely proud of my wife that she bears the time to teach them about academics, and I utilize my time as a father to teach them about things like how to turn a wrench, how to fix things around the house, how to take care of chickens, about philosophy, about the Christian worldview, and about politics, unfortunately, which seems to have blown its way into each of our households in the last several years.
Luke chapter 6 and verse 40. A pupil is not above his teacher, but everyone, after he has been fully trained, will be like his teacher. From K through 12, children spend 14,000 seat hours in school. Let me say that again, 14,000 seat hours in school. The average Christian family spends less than 30 minutes per week discussing spiritual matters. Parents who think that a few conversations centered around what did you learn today need to be honest about the usual answer to that question, which is nothing.
But in a way, I thank God for that, because if it weren't for the incursion of politics, especially among the 2016-2020 timeframe, and then as Biden brought himself and his old self into each of our living rooms, standing in front of a blood red background saying that MAGA Republicans were enemies of the state and the biggest threat in America, he brought it to us. Let's not forget, he brought this to us. And so my children are learning that ultimately, if they want to represent their Christian value and the systems that we believe are best for human flourishing, they are going to need to fight, not physically, not kinetically, but with prayer, first, with dignity, respect for each other, and honor for our nation. And if they can bring that to the table, I tell them they are set up for the adventure of their lives, because meaning and purpose comes along with trying to be gospel-centered, sharing their faith with others, and working within systems that are inherently working against the Christian worldview. Whether we like it or not, no matter who the president is, the government does not seem to be the pursuer of Christian values. And so the secular education that we're giving our children to for 14,000 hours in their young lives is not representative of what I want my kids to know when they walk out of my door, turning 18 or 20 or whatever they want. When they walk out that door, I don't want them to have been raised by the state for tens of thousands of hours and been raised by me for relatively fewer.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
If you're out here saying there's no way that we could afford to have a one-income household, or there's no way that we could even have the scholastic ability to teach our children from home, just know that a lot of high school teachers do not teach on the subject that they majored in. So the curricula that you are investing in and the ways that you can begin to teach your children does not mean you need to be an expert in that area. It is quite possible for us to give a robust overview of what education our children need, apart from the state mandating it and the state giving you every bit and piece of information. There are a lot of homeschool resources. There are a lot of schools and cohorts that will help you integrate this teaching into your household. And even when there are challenges like speech impediments or IEPs and other things like that, who knows your children better than you do, and who has a more passionate desire to see them thrive than you do? And so we have paid the cost, an exorbitant cost, to have a single income household, which means you might live in a smaller house. You might not be able to afford what you want all the time. You might have to drive vehicles that don't look the best sometimes. That would be me. However, the value that we are investing in is my legacy. I am working hard so that my children will have the ability to learn from my wife and myself before the state about what this world is and is supposed to be. Speaking of legacy, I want deeply to let Voddie Bauchum speak to his own legacy, one of the most bold defenders of homeschooling. If there's anything that a Christian man right now would like to give to the honor and the legacy of Voddie Bauchum, it is that you would consider homeschooling your children. There is no time better than the present to take them out of the hands of Caesar, and perhaps they won't come home as Romans.